Hello everyone, and welcome back to Timberborn. Where when we left off, we kind of just gotten this little power area set up here in the Reservoir District. Mostly set up at least, it still needs a bit of work. At least of which is because this bottom layer keeps flooding. Okay, we get a bit of spillage over here and also a bit of spillage over this section sometimes. I reckon the way to handle this is probably, rather than bother trying to drain this, it's almost certainly just to kind of delete one of these levees, replace with the dam, so if it fills up too high, it'll just overflow out into the reservoir before it fills up this in its entirety. And then we'll just have the base layer be slightly higher than we originally assumed. I might get that in place while I think about it. Leave that. Yeah, we can see some of the water flowing out already. I mean, do I just want to keep this open in its entirety? Maybe it's going to flood over the edge of these levees before it inundates this section, so maybe I don't replace that with the dam, we just leave this open. Well, they can recycle some of those logs at least, it looks like. So we have 2 of our water wheels in place already. And we'll be getting a 3rd eventually when our plank stocks recover. And then we'll be getting a sawmill and stuff set up in here. Industrial lumber mill. Along with some storage down below. Something I do need to figure out is how exactly the power is going to run through here. For that point, something I think I really need to figure out, because I don't actually know if power shafts and vertical power shafts function underwater, if they're a building that floods. I've never actually made a note of that. Because if we can get them to survive flooding, they could be something we put on this base layer if it's going to occasionally fill up with water. Just have our power mechanisms down here and then build up off a base power grid. Need vertical power shafts and just kind of make a solid layer of them down here. Just to check that, let's just order a power shaft built down here at the bottom of the reservoir. We'll see if this highlights it as being flooded or not. And yeah, as we're working on this, I also reckon our next task is probably to get an additional district beginning to be established over here. So as I discussed last time, our plan is probably to wall in here, along here, and then just flood this bottom section. So this ends up as a big shallow lake, which we can plant mangroves in. Then have the actual district built up here on this side. Yeah, we can't really afford to flood up too high, even though, like, we could do that. We'll need to build another dam right across here. And across here. Honestly, too high is not the worst idea. I would like the extra mangrove groves, but I could just grow mangroves here, maybe. You know what? We might actually be going for a too high dam. Yeah, because this retaining wall would keep all of that in. Yeah, so we might have some more work from the beavers over here to kind of get this built up before we get this district in position. We'll need to figure out a way to get down from here too, so this district can trade with the new district over here. Honestly, making a too high dam might even be easier, because then we just need to dam there and here. And we could theoretically keep building this even higher. If we were to go 3 high, that would retain it. This would not, but we could build a dam there. yeah, this would keep up to 3 high. You could really turn this into a lake if we're willing to just lose all of this. I might actually be changing my mind a bit. It does mean losing all these oak trees, which would be a bit sad. Do you have our actual, like, district HQ up here somewhere? Then kind of cut down a bunch of these trees, get all the wood stored up here, and then just eventually flood all of this, and then this could be the new mangrove patch. And this is just a bunch of water. That does seem like complete overkill. It does also seem like it might be quite fun to do, though. Just cover as much of the map of water as possible. I reckon that sounds a bit like a plan. And you guys are getting some planks in. We've managed to get a bunch of beavers ready, unemployed, which is good. I was a bit worried about that. Look at that, the water's actually evaporated down to below the level of these platforms now. So over here, you are not showing as flooded. That is a good sign. We really don't need that, so we'll just delete that. I will grab these vertical power shafts, unlock those. I'll just get them to build one of these same location. And kind of we'll see if that counts as flooded. Just to check there's no difference between the two buildings. And while we think of it, let's just get those levees in position to be constructed. Now, stuff we want over here, we want a cassava fermenter, along with some extra plank production, gear production eventually, but we're already producing gears faster than we're really using them. Planks are the big hold up, so yeah, double platform, single platform, we'll just wait for these to get constructed, and then we'll start contemplating this further. We also need that built too. Our builders are going to be very busy here over the next little bit, but I reckon we probably don't want to build a builder's hut. Really want haulers and stuff over here, so the amount of beavers we have isn't that excessive. Not to our requirements. Okay, that's built. You are not showing us flooded. Okay, you can function underwater. That is good news. That means we can get a base level of these vertical power shafts, which can be constructed on top, down here. And kind of we can feed power down into these, and then they'll propagate out across the entire base of the structure and generally simplify our manufacturing requirements. Or simplify the requirements for actually distributing power across our manufacturing district. Yeah, transfers power, transfers power. I'm trying to think, do warehouses and stuff transfer power? Is there a spot where I could attempt to place a warehouse over here to test it? Not readily. Yeah, it's just kind of a bit difficult to distribute this stuff. But if I were to eventually get a large water wheel over here, yep, the power would emerge 3 in. What's the sort of space am I working with here? Yeah, I might need to have the power wheel actually built here so that we can get down off this walkway. Yeah. Which means we'll need a platform here and here. Triple high platform. There, there, there. You in. You and you. Now, Just double check. A large water wheel. Yep, built here. Yeah, it seems like it will work once we remove this stair, which we cannot access anyway, so let's just delete that. Excellent. Yeah, and that will give us a nice spot to kind of get some power, directly input it in here. Still need some more planks brought in. So, storage stuff and the power stuff down on the bottom. If I just assign vertical power shafts, I mean, what size storage things are we looking at? So we do have a timber pile here, which will probably do fine. It's a bit far away, but it is close to our actual, like, logging ground, so that's the advantage there. We'll want a medium warehouse for planks, medium warehouse for gears, in all likelihood. I don't want my food storage. Food storage can probably be back in town a bit, so I don't need to worry about storing ingredient stuff and fermenters and the like. Yeah, so we can just distribute some vertical power shafts. Just like this. Get those two base things done. And then we can maybe start deleting some of these triple platform structures. I don't think we need to get up here anymore. So, I mean, we can't even access that base stair. So these can all just get deleted. Now, I might have use for that stair platform if I decide to do something like climb up this corner. We shall see. So some more vertical power shafts just along here. Busy, busy beavers. Ah, yeah, you're focusing on getting these levees ready. Yeah, I'll just get those three in position, then they can get back on here. I do just have not enough builders for the amount of builder work I have. I mean, do I want to just assign some more builders temporarily? It's cheap enough resources, 100 research. Another 4 beavers. I mean, we have some unemployed. They're not immediately doing anything. Sure, let's get a builder's hut. You can just get stuck. This will make a fun roof for one of these buildings. Can't access it from there, so not what we're going to do, but let's just slap down a temporary builder's hut. And maybe even a not so temporary one somewhere. Where do I want to go? Sure. Put down a builder's hut there, a little bit off the beaten path. I want that priority. Gotta spend builders to make builders. And then we'll get some more immigration in here. So like this district only has 1 unemployed beaver. We need to migrate a few more over from the other district. We are rapidly running out of actual spare unemployed beavers. Manage population. If we can get you up to 20 at the moment. Cool, cool, cool. I would like a minimum 21, just so there's always a spare beaver. Yeah, and both sides going well now. I would like you to stay minimum 30, because you have 29 positions that need filled. If one beaver dies, I want there to always be a replacement up here. Once we get a source of planks down here, that'll be very nice for speeding all this up, but because we've decided on this quite complex base structure to build here, to go beneath our sawmill, we do need to spend a lot more planks than usual to actually get planks online. Yeah, so as you can see, most of this is done. We can get workers out to there. So, the path here and here could be interesting. I do probably want... Yeah, let's just delete these structures. I don't reckon we're going to have any beavers walking around on this base layer. So we'll just get some more vertical power shafts around here. Which means these sorts of structures can now, let's see, start being some storage stuff. A storehouse here and a storehouse here. I want to do sideways stuff. How much space do we have to work? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 is a bit awkward. 3x3 buildings. These fit okay into the space, these very large warehouses. We want to unlock one of these and try and save up for a massive planks warehouse in here. Not the worst idea I've ever had, I don't think. Of course, I really am hoping these things transmit power. If they don't transmit power, this is possibly a bit of a waste. All the resources we're expending here. We'll figure that out soon, I'm certain. I reckon grabbing the large warehouse, we can have a massive planks depot in here. Which will mean... Okay, so how would I access this plate depot? Planks depot. So we would need to get a path here prior to do that. So that needs to be locked in. Path. Now to access that path, we'll need to come down from here. Okay, so we're going to have power running across here. Which means this most likely needs to be a step down, like somewhere along here. If I do some... Let's see. The power shafts will be running across this lane to exit from here and here. Let's just get something in the meantime established. So we can put down some stairs there, platform here, some paths there. More vertical power shafts. And then I would like a large warehouse constructed about here. We could use these as some smaller warehouses, maybe? See, I can fit a fermenter in here if I wanted to. Which does not seem too bad as an idea. I'll just get a fermenter penciled in there. Some more power infrastructure to get these things actually hooked up. So a small warehouse of some kind. In here, contents to be determined. Will support... Yeah, then we get another warehouse here and another one on top of that, which is nice. A normal power shaft there. Or maybe this is where we run... Yeah, the connection... Yeah, or... No, let's figure out if these power shafts connect. So I'll just order a small warehouse built down in that gap. with a vertical power shaft, a normal power shaft like that. And we'll see if that powers that fermenter. Yep, lots of builders being busy. Planks are still the choke here. It's actually going to be a while before that building comes online, but the fermenter should not take too long. Let's just put that slightly lower priority so they get this test stuff done. Yeah, and as you can see, we are running out of beaver stuff. Let's unpause this other breeding pod and start getting our population up a bit. Yeah, no good selected in either of these. That is fine. You are going to be fermented cassava. Yeah, you are now transmitting power to there. We still need to get this stuff constructed. One plank. Yeah, just waiting on exported planks to come down to here. There, 2 planks. Now we just need that thing. Soon. Yeah, how's our food storage going? Yeah, we are eating the mushrooms faster than we're producing them from this building, so another hydroponics somewhere up here probably wouldn't be a bad idea. Again, future concerns once we have more beavers. Okay. Does this transmit power? It does not. It does not look like. Yeah. So, warehouses do not transmit power. That is good to know, which means this cannot be a warehouse. Oh, bugger, you're supporting stuff now, so we do just need to delete this down to the base. Instead, do that as a vertical power shaft. Now, it does mean this building being a large warehouse is less useful than I'd first thought, but we can still run power across the top of it, like from here, and connect these two up, and this will have a connection down to the base from this side. Power shaft. Power shaft. Power shaft there. This might actually be a tad awkward to run with you being there. Let me actually just think. If I shift this structure back across one, I can shift the fermenter, I can have the power shaft running up here. And I won't be able to do this, and that just kind of pushes the problem one further away. Yeah, the 3 wide building's a bit awkward when it comes to running power across here. Is there a 2 wide building that I would not mind squeezing in down there? Probably is it's only, like, it's the 3x1. I need a 2x1 building, which I don't think is something I readily have access to. Yeah, none of these are going to cut it. Oh, well, we can just have a connector for this one further down here somewhere. Now, if we're going to be getting fermented cassava in, we probably do want a medium warehouse for fermented cassava, which I don't think we have anywhere. Double check. Yep, no fermented cassava storage. Medium warehouse. Sure, let's just stick that there. Fermented cassava, please. Good. That should be working. Let's just drop one of our builders so that can come online. And then we want to get our industrial lumber mill for planks. Industrial lumber mill can live somewhere else properly. We could slot a building in here pretty neatly. I don't think I mind as a strategy. Now, we cannot readily build platforms over the top of this thing. A tad annoying. Now, honestly, connecting these two mills up on this side might be the way we end up going. Either way, it's fine. We're overproducing power so much that even if these are running on different circuits, that it will hardly matter for the next little while. We'll want an industrial lumber mill in there. We can get a simple power shaft to hook that up. Now we'll need to figure out how to get a path over to here. Then ends up connecting down here. We probably want to run this kind of off this little central area here. Yeah, so our large water wheel will be connecting on this side. So if I wanted to branch the path off, we probably want to branch off from this point. And this would be much easier with twisting stairs, but we shall survive. Okay, so we just do like that and that. So before we get these platforms in, we do want to get the ground power transmission guaranteed to be running through here. So just a base layer like that. And then there. There's up there. Path. That's our plank storage, that's our planks, that's our cassava. One spare warehouse for use later. Things are not going too badly. There'll be another couple of these builders employed. Let's see, yes, we have 5 homeless beavers here, which means it's time for another row house somewhere too. I can do a barrack instead. Row houses are just more efficient, it seems. So we reckon just one there, one there. And I could swap you around and do another 3x3 structure at the base here. Yeah, if I do you one wider here, it makes this a very awkward space, but will then let me do this neatly at the back, which I like the look of. Yeah, look at that overflowing every now and then. I swear, these waves seem to be building over time. Some sort of weird positive feedback cycle in how the water flows. Yeah, the beavers will get this done. Drag these last planks in, and eventually I'll get this industrial lumber mill going, and then that should be a whole lot of planks for some time, especially this large warehouse ready to receive them all. We can start worrying about squeezing other things in here. Wood workshops, maybe a smelter. Make use of all this scrap metal we're building up over here. That's almost full of scrap metal already. Yeah, we still have this little plank storage, which we probably will want to just empty out now that this is done. You are the plank storage, the large... That's a warehouse, not a bulk goods bugger. Yes, I wanted a large industrial pile, not that thing. Well, scrap this for now. Mistakes have been made. That is quite embarrassing, but yeah, no. We don't want that structure at all, so that's a bunch of materials wasted. Oh, I'm certain we shall recover. Eventually. Large industrial pile. Let's get 2 large industrial piles, just so this is on the same position. Now, if that's a large industrial pile, we want a doorway here. Means we need to be able to access it. Means we probably want to delete these paths back again. Delete, delete. Delete those stairs. Now, let's just get you encoded so you can be a blank storage here. This bottom one can be some metal block storage when we get to metal block processing. Now, so we need a path there. Means we need to be able to access this location, which could be from here or here. Here seems a more efficient use of space. Yeah, and then if we get some stairs up there. Okay, so let me just double check these are all accessible. Yep, that has a path leading to the entrance of it. Eventually, some of this stuff could be replaced by other small warehouses or more paths leading across. Again, that's future stuff. We can tear down parts of this structure and rebuild it at a later point. Okay, so... Yep. Hide you in there. Path up there. And power connecting you up. Okay, we're good once again. These only take planks too, so... I mean, logs, not planks, so all the planks I spent building that large warehouse were a considerable waste. At least hopefully we'll be able to salvage some from these ruins to put back to work. We certainly seem to be grabbing at least some stuff off the ground here. It is neat watching this all come together. I'm not the best at designing these big three-dimensional structures, but I love the fact that they are a potential option. You can make really good use of all the Z levels. Yep, and now it should just be this lumber mill to go. And kind of, once that's in position, we already have a vacancy. And I'll add 2 more. And so we just, yep, disable this builder's hut. There we go. Everyone's where they need to be. Ain't that pretty. Now, you are emptied, so we can just destroy you for now. You know what, let's just convert you over to more scrap metal. Because that one is almost full. So you can just keep getting some scrap, keep building up this store. Might as well reuse it, and it's in a good position for that. Yeah, cassava incoming. Now I do want to get haulers down here at some point soon, I reckon, but again, we'll need more beavers for that. So let's just get... How far can we reach here? If I remove one more path... Yeah, we're right on the edge of the building area, so I don't want to remove the path back too far, otherwise the builders won't be able to reach. We can keep building up this levee. Now, let's see. Can I give the builders up here something to do? And connecting up these two water wheels. I mentioned that was something that seemed prudent, so let's get that done. A triple high platform is not quite enough. Is that even in the right position? Yeah, I think so. If I were to attempt to connect there, yeah, you don't quite connect. So we need a triple high, which they can reach, and then a one high on top of that. And then we hook up power, shaft here, power shaft there, and we'll just do the same thing here. Hook these two up out this end, which stops me from having to worry about this any further. Like, I can just build stuff there without being concerned about it not reaching this bottom layer, since the bottom layer is already connected to this one. It's all part of the same system. Having a power shaft up here means if I want, I could run power up, like, over to back here off this as well, which would be nice. This periodic flooding doesn't do any harm. It does look slightly annoying, though. I wonder if I just want to build up this edge of the levees a little bit further to prevent it. 2 days till the next drought. I mean, these paths aren't even really connected, so destroying them, shouldn't inhibit this from going on. Let's get some more power shafts, along with the same structure here. Sorry, 3 high and then a 1 high. Please do not strand yourself. You're going to... Oh, well done. You managed to teleport out. When I thought that beam was going to end up here, stuck between the 2 power shafts. These are solid structures. They can't duck under them or anything. Remove that path. Remove that path. 2 more power shafts there. Oh, levees here. Making progress. Okay, now that we're back here, I can just delete all these paths at once, in the hopeful knowledge that, yes, you can still reach the end there, so we should be able to construct a levee all along here now. I'll need to do something about these stairs when we get up to here, but we can just shift those one across onto the new part. And we can see fermented cassava storage is going well. That is pretty much staying full. This thing is being nice and productive. With a bunch of plain cassava in storage even. Mushroom is still something that needs a bit more work, but again, we're kind of worker capped at the moment. Now, think about getting more workers. So I did do this little business with the blueberries down here, which, like, I don't hate. But honestly, we're overproducing blueberries up here so badly, they'll probably be better just to get a big blueberry storage down here. And then just borrow blueberries off this top district, off top side. Like, on the topic of blueberries and the storage thereof, we can get another medium warehouse over here. Assign you to blueberry storage. Yeah, that levee is getting underway. And once we get blueberries start coming in here, we can get some breeding pods set up over here in the reservoir district. 7-day drought, that is fine, we survived longer. Yes, that's almost full. Farmers being busy, busy, busy. Now, it does mean all this industry stuff shuts off, but we managed to get a few planks. We have plenty of cassava saved up. Yeah, and look at that. These are all part of the same network now. I click on one water wheel and everything's highlighted blue. Okay, so if the builders up here are done, how would I like to end up connecting this district? So I was originally planning on having both connections come out of here. Do I still want to do that, or do I want a connection to loop around there? Well, I'll get the connection on this side handled, kind of from these builders, and we'll see what sort of distance we end up working with. Because you're slightly further away, so yeah. We'll use that as a bit of a guide. Now, okay, one of the problems we did have when I tried doing this previously was constructing a platform to run suspension bridges off here requires building up from the other side first. That might be a task for these beavers, actually, once they've got these levees in position. Yeah, if we get like a platform here, and then another one there, we can run 3 long. We'll need to get a 2 long even. One to unlock the 2 long? I mean, sure. Spending science points a bit freely, but we can survive. You know what? Maybe I did just want the 3 long. Again, making decisions, not sticking to them. Yeah, stick this a bit closer so I don't do this weird little dog leg. So, from here. I could even do the 4 long if I go from here. So, lead you across. Is that right? Hopefully that's right. 4 long. 3 long. Path leads to there. We can get that part of the suspension bridge done at least. And then we just need to step this down using stairs. Yeah, like that. Long stairway leading down. And then that gets us here. And we eventually need to reach up to here. This will involve destroying a few of these trees, probably. Yeah, we can just work across this riverbed. I want to make use of these stairs, natural stairs. I'm not going to be able to make any active use of these berries. Decisions. And the natural stairs are fun. Okay. Redesign once more. We need to go there. Which also makes this line up neatly, actually. So demolish buildings. Yes, all of that, please. All of this. Delete that. Try this once again. 1, 1, 3, 4. Yep, like that. Step you down. Flight of stairs. Yep, and then we'll just tear a hole through all of these berry bushes. That gets us up here, and then this loops up towards where the district center will be up there. Cool. And our actual trade location, these two will need for two separate trade locations. If I run them both along here, I can have them just adjacent just before this bridge. Assuming, of course, I don't end up putting one down there, which is the other possible location. Yep, you guys keep tinkering away. We're not nearly keeping up with the amount of wood we're bringing in here, but like, our log stockpile is full. We don't have much in the way of spare beavers to assign to wood cutting. Just get these levees done, and then, yeah, once this medium warehouse is set up, we will get some breeding pods over here in the reservoir district. And just keep trying to build up our population. So you have one spare beaver, which, yep, comes out of the inventor. Now, you have one spare beaver. Which building do you automatically deprioritize? One of the farmhouses. That's probably not ideal. Is there a structure I'd like to put low priority on? Not low priority on the forester. We already grow oak trees much faster than we can cut them down. Yeah, just halfway through the flood. Water level is broadly holding up. Let's just dump a little bit more out. Yeah, building up a water tower here might be a worthwhile endeavor. Let's get a sizable reserve in position. I could even, like, expand out the water tower to over here, maybe? I don't particularly want issues with, like, bad water buildup and contamination to become a problem, though. Maybe I could do, like, a two-stage reservoir. So we have this little reservoir which leads to an equally sized reservoir down to about here. You just fill up with water. Then on bad tide, we swap these over, and so only this will get bad tide infected. A bunch of people died of old age. Someone grew up, but we're still not quite there. Good, you got that done. So let's get a couple of breeding pods. We are looking to expand our population quite a bit. So where do we want to squeeze these things in? It's this little awkward spot. We have this little one tall area here. Yeah, we'll get a couple of breeding pods over here. Try and get our numbers up. Okay, now that that is all done, let us keep building up this levee here. Get that one in, then this one in. And then once that's done, I reckon we just give the order to start building this up to the next height all the way along here. Having this at the height we ultimately want it is not a bad thing to do at this point. We don't gain it. We don't lose anything for putting in that bit of work now. So, about building up the reservoir here. Yeah, I could make the tower slightly higher. And then... yeah, I would need to get some workers out here to start building up this edge. We want to turn this into another level of the reservoir. Which I can probably do without too much trouble. I'll need to punch through a couple of these pine trees in order to get there. And depends where I want the reservoir to start. Maybe I want it to start about here. Maybe have like the drop off here. So like, yeah, this can be where the dams, floodgates, whatever that drop off from this upriver reservoir down into the downriver part can be. So I will need another levee over here. Another one there. And then I can go like here. More there. Yeah, the ability to build... what are we looking at? Landscaping... structures? Yes, like overhangs in order to make use of these little areas to store extra water would be useful. Like, rather than building up a levee here, I could have an overhang and then levees on top of that. Will be a retaining wall. But, we will endure. We will endure. I do want to get rid of these. Mark these two trees for demolition. So do I just want a standard dam, some floodgates? Couple of options here. Again, if I had curved stairs, then I could actually salvage this and put a curved stair in here and then have like a suspension bridge running along the back of this thing. Actually, yeah, I do think we want to clear these for demolition as well. And we'll handle that as we'll just have a stair leading up here. And we want beavers kind of running along the inside lane of all this to get structure done. So let's just get all the levees we want here marked into position. See what sort of weirdness we'll have to do with the paths. Yeah, this will be quite an awkward structure to build because we're not leaving us with like a comfortable path that beavers can walk across in order to just build this levee. So this will be quite an expensive thing to build. So we probably want to get in like a double platform here. So you can access all of that from, so we need a way to get to that. Means we need one here. And then, yeah, another one here, and then that will do us. And then we just build up like that, like that. Can't do that quite like that. So remove both of these. I need one extra space to make this work. This, this. Down, up, down. Run some paths along the base here. Stair there. Stair there. Okay, and that will eventually get all of this levee done. We just keep working away at that. Path there. Cool. That will eventually get underway. Then we just need to get the floodgates in at the front. Delete those stairs. Get the levee in here. This thing is finally drained down, almost. You can still see the water at the bottom, underneath the platforms, even during the drought. These beavers are slowly maturing, 20%. You can see these structures are getting in position. And I can just leave these things in here if I ever need to do maintenance. Because these should not interfere with the water flow. And then full height floodgates at the front of here, I reckon. I unlock the triple floodgates, make use of those. Yeah. Our maintenance stairs will be a tad blocked by those floodgates. Oh, whatever. Again, engineering problems that we can solve by tearing stuff down later on and rebuilding it. Now, we are still... we are running out of fermented cassava just because during the drought when we no longer produce it. Yeah, power generation wise, like these large power wheels produce 300, which is decent, but like 4 beavers to work on them. Very labor intensive. Gravity batteries can store a bit of power. Some of these in various useful locations along these cliffs will help. These essentially store power 2,000 horsepower hours per meter above the ground. Like when there's excess power, it raises the battery up. And when there's low power on the system it's connected to, it drains power out, slowly lowers the weight. But continuous stuff over long droughts, like if we connect this up to a main system, these will drain quite rapidly. Consistent power, the thing to look at is probably the steam engine. Like 400. So not the most power, but comparable to one of these power wheels. And then it just takes water and logs. Yeah, it's about 2 logs a day. 0.3 water an hour. Hungry things. Again, that's part of why I'm so insistent on building these extra large reservoirs so early with this fashion, because between the hydroponic gardens and stuff like the steam engine, we drain a lot of water. Oh, you don't... These aren't one tool. I thought they were one tool. Okay, this needs re-engineering somewhat. Okay, can we... Yeah, that's simple enough. If we just do a one-tool platform, you can still squeeze around the edge. Like that. Get you there, get you there. Okay, now that'll work. Let's just get paths all along the edge here so that we can ensure builders can reach everything. Okay, now we keep working here. Delete that, delete that. And you will be able to build this levee. Hopefully, yep, we'll construct that. And then hopefully be sane enough to attempt to build the far side first before you build this one. Let's just put that on low priority just in case they do something very, very... Actually, no, yeah, it's fine because you're not going to wall yourself in. If you just build across this top, building along, you will build this entire levee up to the height we want it. Up to these oak trees anyway, which we'll cut down eventually. And then we need to get some of these builders out over here to construct this stairway, which will be its own expedition. Now, these things are all chugging away. one thing I'm slightly concerned of is like the water floods over here. Any electrical structures we build around here might end up being temporarily disabled by flooding when the water kind of falls in through above. But these things won't retain water, it will just fall straight through to the bottom. These aren't waterproof, but while the water's passing through it might disable the building, which will cause all sorts of annoying interruptions. And just look at that wave build, and then lower. Build, and lower. For now, though, this little industrial section is transmitting a whole lot of power. And yeah, power supply sitting up around 800, which is far, far more than we need. We are just waiting on these breeding pods to catch us up on some new beavers. So these have produced the first crop of kits. So once these children start growing up, we'll see the improvements we've made to our population start coming into effect. How do I stabilize you? Maybe if I block in this side by another levee, replace that with a floodgate. It's like, we're not seeing the same flooding from this side. It might be something weird to do with how this is flowing in two different directions. Yeah, if I were to block you in with a levee, turn that into a floodgate, or even just block this into a levee and see if just having a one wide exit keep up with the strain it's putting on it. Get the builders to get to that eventually. You know, you have a whole lot of work to do. Yeah, no spare beavers down here. Got 3 vacancies. Yeah, one of which is the builder, but I reckon that's fine. I'd rather have other beavers being busy and productive in other locations. Just wait for some of the kits to grow up. So metalworking stuff is probably something we want to look at soon. The smelter. The smelter is a large structure, but we can squeeze it in here. Now, the other thing we'll probably want to get in here is a wood workshop, which is, I think, the same dimensions as the metal place. So you go down to there. Yeah, same dimensions. Is both be power hungry. If we place them next to each other and we manage to power either one, then they both end up powered, which is nice. What other power hungry structures would we hope to squeeze in here? Okay, nothing under metalworking. Under food, we have a few more things. We have this oil press for canola oil. These food factories, these are big and bulky and take a decent amount of power. So these will want to be in a big centralized powered location. I could potentially feed some power out over here if I ran out of space too. Coffee brewery, that's another structure that might want to end up in here. Water-wise, don't think a centrifuge. Maybe you don't have ready access to bad water. So centrifuge takes bad water, turns it into this resource, extract. We'd probably want that near somewhere with bad water, so not in this district. Other than that, under the science, yeah, this number cruncher. So this is our good research building. So you are not manned by beavers at all. You don't even have an entrance. You just need to be somewhere, like, that connects up to power. I don't think we can build stuff on top of it, despite the flat roof, which is a bit of a shame. We could afford this. Like, 500 horsepower makes this thing very hungry. Hooking it up to this system And just like that way we could disable probably our inventors since they're so less efficient. And just rely on a number cruncher. That seems like a good idea. Then we have our various bot things. So bot part factories. These make the chassis, the limbs, and the heads from various ingredients, planks, metal, gears. And then you assemble all three of those ingredients into bots. Bots are essentially other workers. They function like beavers, except they don't need to sleep or anything like that. They do have a couple of demands. Yeah, I noticed this. So the other faction, the Folktales, they provide fuel as like a liquid you store in tanks, and then the bots need to go to those to recharge. But here it looks like you charge bots directly at these charging stations with mechanical power. We have this control tower, which is also unique to this faction. So this, you spend science to improve nearby bots. Yeah, bots are essentially workers that work all day and just need to recharge every now and then, but break down slowly over time. Grease factory, yeah, this is a bot buff item. So this will be a bit like the fuel for the other faction. I don't know if this will be a liquid or a resource, but they'll gather this to also kind of improve their performance. Now, well-being buildings. Oh, that's right. We're thinking about an exercise plaza up here. I might get that started soon. We do have a couple that need power. This wind tunnel needs a lot. If I do expand the power network out to here, that might be something I plop down at the back of this settlement. And the motivatorium, which does seem considerably more efficient than a wind tunnel. More visitors. Can only be built on the ground, whereas I could stick this on top of other structures if I get a big enough base beneath it. Mud bath takes a small amount of power too. Yeah, the motivatorium even gives a considerably higher well-being buff over the wind tunnel, +3 to +5. So I do think motivatorium is just more efficient. Builders slowly working away. Now, eventually I would like to get this other large water wheel in position. Yeah, just like that. Want to get this blueprint down? Yeah, let's just get that blueprint down for now, because I will need to build around that, so I want to get that ready. Okay. Yeah, and I think the spill here might have been related to like the floodgate pouring water out in two directions, because this seems to be much more efficient now. Well, efficient, much more stable now. We're not seeing that big wave swell up and down effect. We are still running quite short on beavers. But hopefully, as time keeps progressing, we will see our numbers come up. We have 3 more breeding pods operating than we did about an hour ago, so... yeah, we can see some of the fermented mushrooms came in. They're all being eaten as fast as we can process them. Yeah, okay, we're seeing that wave effect start again. Yeah, I just don't know what causes that. Yeah, if needs be and this gets really annoying, I can just build up the walls here, and that way the wave won't breach over the top. It is mostly just an aesthetic thing rather than an actual logistical issue at this point, though. Yeah, this second large industrial pile is filling up with scrap. Yeah, we can see the oak trees are not being replanted because we're a bit short on beavers, but we still have a whole lot of adult oak trees waiting to be cut down. That's not going to give us any trouble for a while yet. How are our kits going on age? Yeah, sure, 72% of the way to growing up. 6%. Let's see, if I increase the well-being, if I can get the kit's well-being up to 10, 15, this will help them grow up faster. Also, if I can get just standard beavers well-being up to 17, they'll live longer. So on the topic of well-being, like I've mentioned a couple of times, I was thinking we'll get this exercise plaza. 400 science, we'll spend this across parts, planks, logs, and we'll just stick this kind of out the back here. The beavers can kind of run around, enjoy the exercise, looking out over this river, down towards where that district will be eventually in the future. I'll just plop that there. And now I don't think there's a metal part storage up here. Oh, there is a little one. 30. Okay, and you only need 20, so you should get built over time by the builders. There you go. See, a couple more beavers grew up. We're now down to only 2 vacancies. This will make our beavers a bit happier over here. We have some fermented mushrooms in storage. This large water wheel is getting some work done. Kind of there's a little bit of a bottleneck on how fast the workers can build out this levee. But some other construction, or construction deliveries at least, do take place. Yeah, we drink some of the water, but then gets restocked. The 3 pumps seem to be keeping up okay with our current water consumption. Yeah, so why did this... Oh, yeah, you cannot access that stair, can you? You cannot. So why can't you access that? Ah, there's no path under... Okay. Oh, there's no path there. Or up here. Okay, now the builders can access this levee. I was thinking this seemed to be taking a while. So I did also notice builders cannot actually get up here to do any work. So we will need to alter that by probably deleting this and this. I'll want an alternate path under there. No, not delete that path. How else are we going to get builders up here? Let's just delete there. I don't think we'll need that double platform. Here. Here. And we'll just need to delete these stairs when it comes to time to put in the floodgates here. Okay, now that's getting worked on. They even left behind that exercise plaza in order to do this, since this stuff is a bit older. You know what? Get that done. You're so close to finishing. Yeah, that dam is gradually expanding outwards. Look at this complex. This thing looks so cool. Just a giant structure getting built up here in the center. We can see some beavers using the exercise plaza. And this will just give them a new source of fun, which gives them another +3 to their well-being score. Yes, that's breakpoint on this beaver. Hitting 12 gave them a faster movement speed. Get them up to 17, they'll live longer. Get them up to 15, they'll work faster. What other well-being stuff can we do? Down here does not really have much in the way of well-being at all. Our builders are very busy though. getting some well-being stuff in might take a little while. Rooftop terraces. We build these on top of other structures. We have this large flat area being built up over here. It does make me wonder what I could maybe put at the end of this to kind of round out this section. I don't really have any good buildings that exit on higher levels than the ground. The other faction of the folk towers, a lot of their houses have doors above ground. So, they'll be a bit like the barracks, but rather than having the entrance there on street level, they would have it exiting out onto this platform. And those were quite useful for capping off sections like this, but I don't think we have a good alternative as this faction. We have most of our beavers now. Positions filled. It is just one spot still not used. We're looking at, yes, one of the inventors, which is good. That is the one we want to potentially be empty. I will keep this builder's hut unpaused just in case we ever get that amount of workers, but I will leave you on the lowest possible priority. So any spare beavers can just become workers over here. And of course, the moment I mention we're just down to one, we immediately get a bunch of death. Yeah, so back to fast forwarding, just let stuff work away. Yeah, so these are gradually getting built up. You know, if they do build all these levees first, which looks like they're attempting to, we might not even need any of these stairs or structures. Yeah, this area will look fun with that little retaining wall for the built-up area. We look at it down from ground level about here. I'm thinking water flow here. Once this water wheel is constructed, it might be worthwhile turning one of these dams into a levee. It's just the one wide water flow does seem to be enough to keep up with the amount of water coming through the system, and it does just increase the flow rate. Having all the water funneled through one tile rather than two tiles. Now, as we see, that is currently constructed. You're averaging 300, bit over 300. When you drop down consistently, now you're back up again. Let's just say about 300, whereas these are higher. Yeah. Yeah, so I am thinking it might be worth maybe taking this dam and replacing it with a levee briefly. Let's just get that done on high priority to see what the effect is. Move dam. Place a levee. Yeah, top priority for my builders, please. And then we need to focus on getting this hooked up to the rest of the system too. I could run you around the outside again. If I were to... I think I could replace this levee not too easily because there's a suspension bridge built off it. I might be able to do it like builders go up here, build, and then the suspension bridge. But I could replace that levee with a vertical power shaft because you're not actually retaining any water. And like, yeah, build up slightly higher here and then have stairs leading down. Or I just want to try and connect on the inside. Yeah, just some vertical power shafts reaching up to connect to this might be the way to handle it. Okay, so you are producing more consistently over 300. Yeah, I think changing this to 1 dam, 1 levee is having a positive impact on you. Yeah, because you were... Okay, never mind. Now you're dipping anyway. Who knows? It's done anyway, so... And it doesn't seem to have done any harm. See another drought approaching. Yeah, and all of this structure did end up being completed, so we can sort of remove these build requests since we're not going to need them. Yeah, delete the path on top of it, then delete the structure. Ah, good. You've managed to get this levee done. Well done, builders. So, since this will be our next long-distance project, let's get this area hooked up. So we shall need a way to get the beavers up onto this level. Some stairs there. Seems like it will do the trick. Yeah, and then we will need to get you down to here. Yeah, just some more stairs there. And then some stairs here. To here. Yeah, I did not put you next to the cliff. And districts must be separated by a district crossing. That is true. Just delete that one path for now. There. And that will get the builders from this district working on that staircase. More people dying from old age. You know, even with 3 more breeding pods, we seem to be having difficulty keeping up. I want to get another one over on this side. I very well might. Yeah. Housing, breeding pod. Stick another one there. You can see that progress is being made. The beavers are exploring new lands down here on this side of the plateau, where they've never been before. Now, connecting up the power over here. Let's get that started underway. I want to do a vertical power shaft. It might be worthwhile in case I ever... Yeah, like, cover this with platforms and stuff. So rather than these traditional power shafts, we'll do a vertical one here, just so I could maybe build on it at some point in the future. Yeah, and then we can just connect you up like that. And I'll bring this large water wheel into the rest of the system. There we go. Yeah, so this is now producing over 1,000 sometimes. pretty consistently over 1,000 horsepower. Or around 1,000. Turning of gears and wheels. Yeah, so the beavers going on late night expeditions out into the country. Yeah, on the final staircase before they reach the grand stairs. Yeah, if I just sign like that. Yeah, you can see like this section is reaching red by the time we get down to about here, whereas here it's still green. So this will be a much shorter commute for this district. So I think both district crossings using this one staircase will be what we do. Now, short drought this time, 6 days. Now, once the stair is connected, I reckon we'll sever the path here and fall back on letting builders from this district do rest of the establishing work for the new district here. You guys, yes, you've gotten all of this done. Very well done. So let's get those ripple floodgates unlocked. I'm wondering, the number cruncher. Do I just want to unlock you now and set you to work? I mean, it's the middle of a drought. It's not going to be operating anyway. So, you know, I'll unlock this triple floodgate. Just hope to get up to 1,500 before too long. Get you in. We'll just, yeah, since this staircase makes operating on these floodgates slightly awkward, we'll just get this floodgate built, then this one, then this one at a time. We're not cutting off our connection. Yeah, 30 logs, 15 planks each. And building the full height through floodgate means that if the water we're using for our water pumps here ever runs low during a drought, we can just lower these floodgates in order to release some more water from the reservoir into the main pool. Yep, this little reservoir upgrade will all be in position by the end of the drought. It's lovely, lovely. This staircase is making good progress. You can see most of the supports are in. Now the work on the actual stairs. Population is doing various things. We still seem to be around hovering. We do have homeless beavers now, which is actually a bit of a good sign. Ah, yes. This district is starting to build up now. It's because I had this builder's hut and it reactivated. So beavers will try and go there. So we are actually making some progress on our population. Another triple floodgate. Yep, this system is all nice and connected up. Means we can, once this stair is completed a bit more, we can get some more beavers working on expanding this out further. Ultimately, for building over the top of this fermenter, I could do some flat overhang stuff, I think. Yeah, like that. That's considerably in the future, though, worrying about that stuff. Okay. You're now connected up. We can work on that suspension bridge, which means I think we want to just demolish one of these paths to sever the connection there and reconnect it to the other district. The builders from up here can handle that. Okay, so... You know what, I was thinking maybe expand the industrial district, but we desperately need haulers over here. So get a hauling post in. And that'll take some of the beavers that were taking up the extra builder slots, give them something else to do. Just repause that building for the moment. Drop you down to wanting 4 haulers. Yep, and at the moment you should be trying to get up to a minimum of 24 beavers. Yes, the Reservoir District is almost as large as Topside now, in its worker requirements. Oh, and look at that beautiful suspension bridge. Okay, so, further connection here, we want to mark all those berry bushes for demolition. And then we'll get some stairs running down, build that path up, that connects to here. And then, if we do want our new district center up here, we will need to cut through some of these pine trees in order to get a path so we can get stairs up there so the beavers can reach it. And we'll probably want some stairs to then get to these oaks to cut them down. Yeah. Last steps, last steps. And look at that, spare beavers. Again, the flooding problem and everything means I really don't want anything on the ground level here. We'll get just some more of these vertical power shafts in position. Just build out this section a tiny bit further. And then if we're doing metalworking and potentially, yeah, treated logs, we have the metal plank storage. We'll need probably resin storage over here as well as treated plank storage. Treated planks are another industrial pile thing, like these. And then resins are one of these smaller warehouses. Look how far the beavers can reach from up there. So if I wanted to feed power up here, yeah, so a smelter back about there could sit directly on top of a vertical power shaft and then transmit power up top that way. So maybe we could just get this industrial lumber mill to feed power across using one of these. That might actually be the way to do it. So more storage means we'll want another large pile here. So we'll just keep getting this base level power shafts further built out. As a method of just constructing a surface, these aren't even that much more expensive than just using basic platforms. I mean, these are 6 planks. these are 2 logs, 2 planks, 1 gear. So if you don't mind it being a solid block, which you can't build a path through, these are, strictly speaking, resource cheaper. I mean, the fact that it's 2 logs possibly even balances out beaver hour cheaper on the extra time spent to making the workshop. And now the drought has ended. Water spills over here into our brand new expanded upstream reservoir. Let's have a look at how this goes. Yeah, it spills up to there. Oh dear, I forgot to build this up. You know, I knew I was forgetting something. Guys, please do that quickly. As quickly as you physically can. So we will see some temporarily drowned forests here. Unless... yeah, there. Better. My apologies for the inconvenience, lads. Again, one of the advantages of floodgates. You can make desperate, oh no, I messed up, need to fix that water level situations by just altering the height it drains at. Luckily, this is all pretty readily accessible, so it doesn't mess stuff up too badly. Look at that, we're on a surplus of beavers. Means we should be able to populate this new district as soon as we're ready to establish it. Fermented cassava. Yeah, now that we have our fermenters running, hopefully the cassava storage should start to increase. Let's get another line of vertical power shafts in position. No, like this stair does not lead anywhere. We do not need you. Nor do we need a path up there. Let's just get rid of that. Now we can focus on building some stuff down here. I'm trying to think, large storehouse-wise, or warehouse-wise, is there something I would probably like to have up there? Here's our food stuff. Gears, metal parts, bot stuff. I mean, a large storehouse for gears might not go too astray if I could squeeze one in here. Like for our really late game stuff, we do need literal tons of this stuff, and gears are the only warehouse drawable thing here. So if I could just never run out of gears, that might be quite nice. I could stick a warehouse store down here. And then a large industrial pile over here. I do not hate that. We'll get a large industrial pile there anyway. Really, it's a question between like a large industrial pile. If I stick a medium warehouse here, what would I do with that extra space at the back? Yeah, I do need to go down to there anyway, so let's just order a large warehouse there. Oh man, yeah, we do really need the spiral stairs now. Let's just cancel that for the moment. Like if I... yeah, until we get spiral stairs, we might have to go with the extra wide gap here, so we can only do a 2 wide structure. we can do 2 over a stairway down here. Yeah, so this can be treated plank storage at some point in the future. Because we already have metal block storage there. We want treated plank storage. And so we want gear storage down here. Which can be this medium warehouse. And to access these, we shall need some stairs down, which can be here. Like that. And then built over the top of those, we can have a double platform there. And we probably just want some single platforms to try and get another storage place in there. And another double platform there. Let's just get that other medium warehouse in position. Get that path. And then ultimately, so what I'm planning on doing is getting a smelter in there. Which will mean we need access to this tile. So to access that tile, we need to come in from somewhere over here, probably. So how do we get a pathway up? We could loop around the top here, which is a bit circuitous. I want an entrance that comes from here. We can't drop that vertical power shaft any further down. If I were to do like a stair straight there. Yeah, we can't bring this stair any further across readily, but I think the circuitous route is what we are doing. Yeah, just something like that. And we'll need to get another couple of platforms. And we can unlock this smelter. Get it in position there. And we connect it up with a power shaft running between those. All good, all good. Okay, so you guys have built out here, which means I can start getting to work on this. So, I mean, we are planning on flooding like all these trees eventually, so it doesn't matter too much if they're alive or dead. There's not much of a difference, so just what is the most efficient way to get to here? And we will want stairs down here, so it might be something along the lines of like a stairway there, a stairway there, a stairway there. Like that. Demolish those resources and we'll get another couple of stairways leading up to that plateau. Yeah. Cool. This reservoir is done and in position, so we can now raise you up to 2.65 meters. Let this thing just fill up. Now that reservoir's full. Slight overflow as the water backs up, but resolves itself. Ooh. Slight flooding. Only slight. Yeah, I might need to drop the level there a bit. Drop you to 2.3, see if you keep flooding. Yep, town is currently somewhat underwater. Yeah, you keep overflowing. Are you going to stabilize or keep doing that? Let's just watch it for a second. looks a bit more stable. So this is very shallow water, so it will evaporate off in time. Hopefully before all of our crops drown. Yeah, this kohlrabi floods real easily. Yeah, looks like we'll lose some crops. Now, just to prevent that in the future, let's get a few more levees along there. Just to, if it does overflow, I'd like to try and focus on spilling out in this direction slightly. Yeah, we can see we're losing all the kohlrabi. Yeah, and this retaining wall is a bit more important up here than down here because when this floods, it doesn't affect anything of ours. When this floods, it really affects us. Oh, don't let the cassava drown too. Evaporate. Yeah, look how many. There we go. Yeah, the cassava survived. Farmer's going to work replanting the dead crops. And it does seem to have settled down here, but getting those levees in position just in case. I don't want a repeat of that in the future. Beaver's getting to work. And now, before we can really get the proper dam settled up here, we do need to cut down these oak trees. I can get the basic dam set up. So just a level of levees. Even 2 levels of levees. And at 2 levels, it will start flooding into these oak trees, but again, we are looking to kill them all anyway, so it doesn't matter if they're dead. So yes, 2 levels of levees. Where do we want to stick you? Probably far downriver, just so we have a larger storage, like total capacity of water in here. Yeah, where's the narrow channel? Looks like we're 5 across consistently across the whole width. Yeah. I can do 4 wide if I build here. So let's do that. Too high. Let's get a path leading back to there. Keep those builders busy. Yep, and we'll want platform, staircase, staircase. Excellent. Then once that's done, we're ready to get this next district set up with some of these unemployed beavers. Good, you are... yes, saying you're ready. This medium storehouse. No real indication of what it's going to be used to store yet. Possibly resin or something in the future. We shall see. Look at that. Our smelter is now smelting. Meaning we have, yes, 12 metal blocks already done. I do need to get some resin farming. I was half considering using this section as a resin farm, this pre-existing pine forest, but we've decided we're just going to drown that. So we'll need to get an artificial one planted in some place. Yep. Work starting over there. Industrial district has grown. I am so happy that I decided to build this little structure here. It's very cool looking. Yeah, we have not been seeing the flooding since we swapped over to this single gate. Like, this area is all dry underneath. And you can see the water down below. How high up is the water level here at the moment? Pretty high. It's only just below the height of these supports. Yeah, some beavers making use of the exercise plaza. So now that the builders over here have a bit of spare time, want to get an exercise plaza over here too? That seems wise. Give them something to do. A plaza up here or something could be fun, but that's just also a bit too far away from where the beavers are going to be working. I mean, not too certain where we want that, but we'll just slap an exercise plaza down right there, center of town. And take up the most space later on. Water stocks seem to be staying pretty well. Like, that tank's draining, but our big medium tank there is still fine. This thing is starting to get constructed. Slowly, slowly. I'll have those couple of stairs. And then, yeah, then we just need to get our district crossings in. We can start sending beavers across. To our third district. If I just take a look at you, what are you doing well-being wise? Yes, you have kohlrabi, you have fermented cassava, and some fermented mushroom. You have used the campfire and the exercise plaza. Some aesthetic stuff, maybe. Won't go too bad, because you build these decorations, they're all fairly cheap. You do need to pay to unlock them, though. Yeah, so maybe I do just want to get this number cruncher up and running. Well, let's unlock it. Let's lock in those science points. Now, I'm assuming you can't operate underwater. I'm also assuming we cannot build stuff on top of you. Let us check that out. No, we cannot. You are not a solid surface. So, where do I want to stick this thing? Like, because we can stick it right out of the way. It does not need any beavers, so if it's connected to this power grid, it will just function fine. No matter where it ends up being. Like, there's no loss of power over distance, so I could, like, stick this number cruncher, like, in here, in this corner, where we're unlikely to ever really do too much. I could stick it up here. I could stick it in the middle of nowhere and build a ridiculously long power cable leading out to it. No, up here seems like a somewhat fun location if I could figure out how to get power to it. Unfortunately, it's not quite the perfect little cross shape. It's slightly wider than it is long. Do I see the perfect shape for it somewhere? It'll be a very satisfying shape to squeeze in perfectly. Oh, again, too wide. That's 3. And I could just, like, stick it on the corner of this plateau. Build out the power system. It'll be awkward to build across this gap, though. Yeah, because I don't have platforms or anything yet. Right, when this thing is filled up, it will start irrigating some of the edge of this land. Not too much, though. If it's like over here, it's likely to be far enough away from anything that I don't particularly want to irrigate it. Got a power cord running out to here, slap it down on this side. Like, if I just like, look at here. So, yeah, you're too high of the water, spreads that fast. Once this is... yeah, we won't get much irrigation up here. So I think sticking the number cruncher in this corner seems like it'll be fine, makes sense. This does mean it's time to get you in and you in, so we can start bringing the power across. Now, when it comes to crossing over these vertical power shafts, the thing to do is just, like, stair path. So it's easy to make a single, like, long path and nothing on the side of it go past one of these things. Just do some basic power shafts. Get to there. Wait, it's not important if we can't access these paths, so... However, we do need to be able to access these things, so we'll just give them that little gap so they're not going to wall themselves in. Yeah, and this will give us access to some power up here if I decide to kind of build this big unified power system somehow. Honestly, just having these power shafts running all over the map, meaning everything's running on the same circuit, could be quite cool. Yeah, so we need to delete that path, and that path, and that path. And then you'll need to get some stairs in, and one of these vertical power shafts. And you just put a path on top of it like that. And that is how you get power transmitted past a path. Cool, and then we'll just go vertical power shaft. Standard power shaft leading into it. And just lead you down to here. So where exactly do we want this number cruncher positioned? That corner, this corner, that corner. I think slightly further back, about there, looks best. Means we probably want to do it like that instead. Just so it hugs the cliff. Yeah, you're a bit too far from the district, but that is fine. We need to get everything set up before you first. Yeah, we desperately want these done. Oh, we'll also need to connect you up now. There we go. Path re-established. Now, did you make any progress on these? Not yet. Not yet. We did get the exercise plaza done. And this little retaining wall is done and ready. Now, eventually, as our power system gets more complicated, we will probably want to get a clutch in position here to disable this structure. Like, eventually you kind of put this into one of these power lines and you can kind of cut the power leading in so that during droughts, when this number cruncher isn't receiving, when we're not getting power from our water wheels, we can just cut off the number cruncher to save power in gravity batteries and backup systems. But since we don't have any backup systems or save power, it will turn itself off along with everything else, so that does not matter yet. Can I increase the height of you slightly? We're up to 1.5 and flooding. Not as much flooding. Though more flooding over time. Oh, well-being going up. And we are not getting many bad tides. Like, we've only seen the one-day bad tide, and we are, like, coming up on the end of cycle 12. Just watching this. Is this going to try and go over? Well, that is real close. Yeah, I think just building up all of this higher. Stop this might be necessary. Now, though, this might provoke a little bit more flooding due to the change in water levels. We'll just drop that down another 10 centimeters. Alas, flooding. Kohlrabi is going to die again. We have plenty in reserve, though. Look at this. We've got some flooding going on here. Yep, as the levees get built. A new lake emerges. Yes, these builders are going to be quite busy. You know what? You're only set for 3. Let's get up to 4 builders on you. We have the spare beavers. The population is building up. Okay, we are still seeing some spillage here. Maybe it's a bit of like knock-on effect from the disruptions to water upstream. Our builders are gradually making progress. Just need them to get some of this stuff done. They are, however, currently, occupied with the really long run down to this levee, but this is almost done now. All the logs delivered to that. Only one more levee to go afterwards. And now we'll see the flood build up even higher. Beavers working away underwater. Yeah, now taking this levee even higher will start really like making this awkward, because we'll need to have the district probably up on this plateau or even up on this one. And at that point, we might as well make the in order to irrigate land, we need to make this really high as a levee, which means so much wood invested in. Potentially durable, but I would not want to do it, not on the long distance sort of commutes we're constructing these at. Here comes the drought, 6 days. Oh, I actually have some water retained in here now, with at least one level of levee in. We have all of this levee to construct too from builders up here at some point. There we go, that's all done. Oh, they managed to get it done before the water flowed out even. A little bit extra stored back here. Yeah, those stairs are underway. All of our power's shut off. That's fine. Okay, since we're seeing some oddities with flooding and stuff, partially because of changing water levels mid-drought, I'm going to increase by another 0.05 meters here, in the hope that we won't see flooding when the drought ends. Yeah, and all those beavers, like, from these extra breeding pods are really starting to pile up now. So very, very soon that stair is almost done. We'll be able to start really kicking off this district. There we go. Okay, so setting up a district in a drought, inadvisable? Possibly. Hey, you know what? Let's get this fully established. Like, just do a floodgate along the top of there. Now, make this a bit of a priority, please. We'll get this reservoir fully in position. And maybe when the drought ends, we'll actually start doing this. And get the district center set up at least, but I won't emigrate any beavers to it. Whereabouts do I want this? Sure, just in that corner. District 3. So we can up that road there. Hook you up to a path network. Yep, we can see kind of the area you can build in has expanded out. And once all this floods, this will be backed up a bit, and we can maybe kind of get another dam up around here right at the entrance, so the pressurized water will fill that up and then spill out eventually. Starting to get some resources into the number cruncher. 17 planks, 16 gears, 16 machine parts. Well, you cannot reach. Did I cut off the wrong path? Oh, you're just too high. Okay, so we shall need some scaffolding in order to reach this. Yeah, like that. And let's also get this stuff prioritized. Prioritized, please. Because again, if you get this number crunch going in the drought, it's not like it's going to accomplish anything. Various stores of resources. We are chewing through the fermented cassava, but food stocks are staying pretty steady. Our metal blocks are slowly getting stored for up to... We were on 80 by the time this flood hit. Flood, drought. Beavers enjoying themselves. Beavers enjoying themselves. Somehow we have vacancies. Ah, yes, in the district center, of course. This is requesting beavers. It does not have any because no one lives in that district. That's fine. Let's see, so district crossings. We'll get a district crossing connecting up to this district in position. And just stick that there. And we'll have another one immediately next to it. Yeah, it needed to be kind of that far back because I stuck it right here. It could not connect to the side of this bridge. These bridges can only lead straight out, not at right angles from the end. Like, you are looking at a pretty long walk to your district crossings, I think, but... yeah, that's probably fairly unavoidable. I mean, you're an orange too. You're a bit closer. And you're going all the way to red. Yeah, kind of sticking the district crossing on the far side of the bridge would make this too complicated because we'll need 2 sets of bridges so you could trade with both of these. Oh, so all these platforms are in. Top of the path, just poking over the top there. We get those floodgates done. Industrious workers. Yeah, and we'll probably want to drop back the amount of beavers assigned to the district crossings, just so we have some to emigrate. So I don't want 4 on each side. 2 will do. Okay, 8 of the logs. And the construction work on those 8 logs. Falling resources slowly, slowly, slowly. And drought is almost over. As you can see, these guys have run out of water supplies. Now, eventually later on, what might be worth doing is cutting down these floodgates instead, using some of these valves in order to kind of monitor the water level automatically. It's like a fill valve will try to ensure that this always has some water in it. If I like attach one between this reservoir and this one, it will use the water here to try and keep this one at a preset level. Which might have been the thing to do since I've got the metal smelter online, which means that's now accessible, but like, I'd already made the plan to put these triple floodgates in before that was relevant. I mean, I could even maybe stick a fill valve on this side so this drains back out in reverse direction. Here we go. You're filling up. I'll have to see if this does the bad flooding again. Good, 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 good. Eventually, and now you should start training. Okay, we're seeing a little bit of flooding. Only a tiny bit. There's some more. Okay, we'll just keep an eye on that and kind of see if it keeps happening over the next few days. Has the situation stabilized? Of course, the thing to really do is once I get my builders online is just to tear out some of these structures, build this up even higher. Okay, it seems to stabilize with only slight flooding. Like, knocking this handful of buildings and some of these crops offline at the end of a drought is something I'm probably happy with. Yeah, it seems pretty stable as a system. 2 of the floodgates done. All these pumping away. You know, so we've got some overflow down here. But these things are happily chugging away despite a bit of water in them. Something I kind of want to do, I don't know if this map will really give me the opportunity, is to actually build a settlement underwater. It was like, levees resist water, and you can waterproof the tops of buildings using, where's the tile? Ah, yes, these impermeable floors. So at 1 metal block per square, you can just kind of stick a tile on top of something which stops water from flowing down through it. And you could use these, like, have some houses on the bottom of a lake and have all their roofs impermeable. Like, the complex thing, however, is access to and from that system. Like, if I had to build some houses down here and then wall this in, raise the water level, how would we actually reach those houses? Like, the ways I can really think are one, we run it like an aqueduct over the top of the buildings, like have walls here, and then the entrances and exit line up with those walls, which is not quite what I'm thinking. Would be very cool on its own accord. Or maybe doing something with like digging tunnels. It's like you can dig like a tunnel underground that emerges somewhere else. And then, like there's water here, but then the tunnel itself is surrounded by waterproof things, so water can't flow in, and then beavers go from the dry place into the underwater place via a subterranean tunnel. Or building above ground tunnels using these terrain blocks, which you can eventually make, like you get this dirt excavation that digs a giant hole in the ground and then eventually gives you dirt, and you can then move that terrain to other places on the map. Very, very far off potential ideas though. Like that takes a lot of resources and tech that we don't have at the moment. There we go. Floodgates in position. Let's get you up to 0.75, just because we can. And now this should start slowly filling up. Big reservoir means it'll take a long time for the water pouring in to fill up all of it. Did I misbuilt how high you need to be. Yeah, you need to be one higher. Am I content with this reservoir? You know what? No, I'm not. I want my stupidly giant reservoir. Well, builders, you have even more work to do. We're destroying these floodgates again. And trying this once more. Okay, no, we might need to leave this. You know what? Let's just get this started. We can get this district going, we can chop the wood, and then these guys can be the ones who wall in this section. That's what I was looking at, because we still need to do that. I forgot about there. Yeah, as well as cut down these trees. Right, this was the plan. So, get the district crossing in here, set up. District crossing, build. There. Good. Then we can get that done. Yes. Yeah, so your district workers will have a very long sprint in order to get to the crossing. But I have to imagine they'll survive. If I cut down these trees, I can maybe get a shorter route this way. It'll be much of a muchness, but I think this will be slightly quicker. Honestly, maybe not even. Yeah, it's going to be pretty much the same right angle. Now we do want you calling less workers. Okay, so migrate population. Let's check everything. Yep, so you need 30 beavers and are requesting 30. You need 26 and are requesting only 24. Let's double check what was causing that. Is it hauling post changes? I think it might be in the addition of the hauling post, and I didn't account for that. Now you, let's just immediately get you asking for 10. And then we can start getting your basic infrastructure set up. So we'll need lumberjack flag. And just clear fell every single tree you can see, please. All of them. Yes. Kill. Kill the trees. Excellent. Oh, those ones as well. And then you'll need some water. Deep water pump over here seems like a fine place to get some water from. Nice and fresh out of the ground here. Yep, and now our various district crossing people are going to go pick up goods that are being transported here. See a bunch of food and like water and stuff is already in position waiting to be picked up. Now we'll probably want to get some storage for all the logs we're going to be getting in to get this last bit of engineering handled. Where do you want to stick those? How wide is this space? Yeah, 2 large industrial piles, 1 for logs, 1 for planks. Just so we make sure you can have a nice supply of building resources. Now, these places, you especially need some more space for people to sleep, so I'll get that assigned. Row houses. So am I doing a second row of row houses like this? I think so. That lines up nice with the street we've built here, so we'll just get a whole bunch of them. But I don't need to think about housing for you for a while. Yeah, you have your couple of builders. And while we have some spare workers, we can assign both of those to be builders. I'll probably want to get a second lumberjack flag. And that'll be all 10 of your workers assigned. And you'll just survive off food that is imported from the other 2 districts. You can get your own water. And we just build up our timber reserves as we get the last of these dams finished. Now, a few planks can be imported. We'll have storage for those. What were you running off to do? Why are you so far away? Ah, you were... Okay, people are having to go up to here to restore their hunger and thirst. We will want to get some... Like... You have water, internal storage, which they can drink from. We will want to get... like a kohlrabi storehouse. Set up, medium store. Sure, stick it there for the moment. And assign to kohlrabi. We'll have something to eat here. Yeah, because people are walking all the way to the district crossing in order to get the food that's stored there, so we want somewhere people can store food closer to the town. Now, when it comes to getting this stuff set up. Now, what would be really bad for this town is a bad tide. So I might actually want to get bad tide defenses in position first before we raise up this dam any higher. So for that, we'll need to redirect this river. If this river turns toxic, we need to send it away from the town. Obvious place to send it, into the rest of the bad water over here. Easiest way to do that, build this place up, floodgates on top, an event of bad tide, divert water through a channel here. Cool. So how high do we want to build you up? We'll probably just go down to this point. Now, hopefully a 1 wide channel will cut it. Let's go 2 wide channel. In the event of a bad tide, I want to be safe. So we'll need some levees leading out to about here. Yep, like that. You know, I mistime what that was. We don't need these levees at all. Demolish buildings, please. Yes, demolish. Demolish. Okay, so when everything's fine, water goes this way. When everything is not fine, water goes that way. So let's set 3 of these as simple floodgates. Yeah, it does need to be floodgates, since I need to be able to control when they're open. Set you and you as floodgates. Get a levy in position there. Along with there. Okay, now I just need the beavers to be able to get to work. Need footpaths leading up. Now I reckon suspension bridge lead across here. Go 5 wide through a 3 and a 2. Now you won't readily be able to access here from that. So let's see. Accessing this back portion will need stairs down. Something like that should make this work. And that's your first priority. Bad tide proofing this new colony. Yeah, we still see some hungry people are going over to here in order to get more unique and interesting foods. Like fermented cassava storage over here would also help. Let's see, so 1 unemployed beaver. Is this? Yes, it is you. But these are slightly too far away for the builders to reach. Let's get a road. Yeah, now you can go and get this number cruncher online. Now once that number cruncher is online, it should be producing plenty of research. We'll stick both of those on lowest possible priority. Let's just appreciate this building. Far superior to the now retired Digit Chewer. That's cute. Yeah, and that is using most of our power income now at this point. Even with these 3 water wheels all working together. Yeah, but that thing will chip away. And every hour it operates will give us 10 science. It is as effective as 10 beavers working as inventors. Yeah, and they'll start really shooting how much science we have through the roof. Hopefully, this should kind of negate that as a limiting factor for us in the future. Now, yeah, you might have trouble building these lower sections, so we might just need to get a path in here as well. Yep, so you can build this dam from the base up. Yeah, we can see some of the builders are on their way to go do that. Now, 1 unemployed. Okay, yeah, so it's here. Here we're already on 1 unemployed beaver. On these woodcutters. I think that's probably the best one to be unemployed. I mean, trade is important to set up. 2 workers, it recommends 4, and we're already down on 2. We need all the builders we can. Yeah, if we just look at our district population management. I mean, you just actually need some more bodies. Let's get you up to 13. And we do have the spare beavers. Yeah, they'll reallocate successfully. More beavers migrate over to District 3. Need to think of a fun name for you. I mean, you're the Reservoir District. You're topside. I mean, is this going to be like the Lake District, the Great Lake? Especially after this floods, this is probably going to be the largest standing body of water on the map. I reckon it will be. I mean, it's right next to this huge lake next door too. Oh, we can see we're managing to chew through all these pine trees. Yeah, and these guys are starting to build this up. Yeah, we just have to hope then that we get another drought in this current drought spree we've been going on. So I don't think we'll get this finished in time for a bad tide. And a bad tide would be very nasty because we do a lot of swimming through the water in this district. And we have no way of curing bad tides at the moment. So a bad tide, a contaminated beaver, is just going to need to be exiled to die somewhere out in the wastes. Now, this thing keeps chugging right through the night too, so it's even more effective than just 10 inventors. It's like our power generation doesn't shut off at night, not solar. You are doing very well. Yeah, these gravity batteries. Could start thinking about gravity batteries. I mean, we have some very tall cliffs here that would make some very powerful gravity batteries if they were installed around. Here I am, I'm looking at the ones up here. If we connect these up to our power system, feed the power back here, have some gravity batteries along this cliff. Those would do some good work. Now I am thinking, just looking at all this, do I want another gear manufacturer down here? I do probably want to squeeze one in. Takes 120 horsepower. That should be within the scope of the system we're looking at here. I'm wondering where else we could like stick some more big power wheels up here maybe to help get the most juice out of this system. It's a little bit shallow in a lot of its locations. Yeah. The channel is very crooked, which makes it difficult to install those. I could maybe have a power wheel built down here, like taking advantage of this channel as it flows out. Then feed that back up through the number cruncher. Now you can also get power from bad water. Like bad water still flows, it still functions. Like down here would be a lovely place for a power wheel. We're a little bit far away from that though. Right, what's our current system load? Yeah, we could fit the gear manufacturing without any additional change. Want to fit the wood workshop too though. Yeah, that would start straining the system. We are butting up kind of at the max of what these 3 ward wheels can handle. If I get some of these gravity batteries, they'll store power during the night. Because we produce during the night and we get much more in the way of power than we actually need. So, yeah, getting these gravity batteries in, one here, might actually be quite a good investment. So let's start thinking about that. If I wanted to feed power back here, it would be simpler to do it right along this edge. I mean, that would be simple. It would be less distance to travel cutting across here. Can I manage that? Honestly, that does seem like a pain. I reckon we're doing the simple method. Like, in case I do want to install a clutch there to cut this thing off, we'll run it from here. Yep, like that. And now we will get some vertical power shafts in. Just temporarily cut off this trade section. You'll be slightly crooked, so we'll just get a path there. Stairs, stairs. Cool, cool. And builders from both districts can come and work on that. This middle section at least. And so if we are looking to ultimately end up with a pair of gravity batteries mount along this cliff face, we'll want to... Let's see, how can we feed through these trees? Because these get in the way a bit. Sure, just like back along there. Probably want to get these constructed before we start hooking them up, because the power cables can get in the way a bit. Get some stairs so we can access this plateau. Yeah, something like that. Those should be in range. Yes, they are. Builders will get to work on those soon. Feed the power back and forth over the map. Yep, you're doing a good job of taking down all those trees. And our builders are doing a very good job on working on this. I reckon we might actually be safe. Yeah, they have plenty of planks in storage. This will even increase the height of this reservoir slightly. Yeah, so priority rise, I probably do want you to handle these closer sections first. Yeah, like that, please. So we can at least get the water diversion running. And try and get some to spill away from the town. Now we can see these gravity batteries are starting to come online. Planks and gears and metal blocks, all of which we have this nice passive production of now. Yeah, and our gear storage is quite full behind our plank storage. I mean, the planks are cut far, far faster than the gears are. But we just had 2 gear workshops. That might be all we ever really need. Would I want to squeeze in a gear works? See, I could... maybe back here-ish? That could be half decent. Yeah. That seems like a good spot for a gear works. We do need to keep expanding out this platform a bit too. Oh, look at that, one of the gravity batteries, and this can store 22,000 horsepower. Once this reservoir fills up, that will decrease to 20,000, I'm pretty sure, because this water level will rise by 1 more, decreasing the height of the cliff. Well, that's a lot of horsepower hours. More and more of the resources getting stored. And so let's start looking at hooking these up to the power system. Yeah, so we'll want to just run across there so I don't have to mess around with cutting down any of these trees. You. And you. Into... Yep, just that. And builders cannot quite reach all the way, very close. Extend the path a little bit here. Of course, bad tide incoming. What I was not hoping for here. Please, work faster, lads. Let's just keep the water flowing for the moment by dropping that to 0. Yeah, you just need to get that levee done. Yeah, and now start working. Yeah, these stairs are not crucial, but they'll be very nice if I want to do internal maintenance. They were almost finished anyway, so we'll let the beavers do that. Yeah, and we want to prioritize the closest sections and then work down from there. Two days in order to get this done as much as we can. Okay, yep, so someone is... Ah, you're just exhausted. You ran out of energy, so yeah, falling asleep. Didn't get shelter and stuff set up, but again, this is high priority. And we'll just keep it at 0 to drain out as much of this water as possible. Lighten that floodgate up to 0.95. And we don't care if any of this floods, so... See, the pine forest is kind of trying to regrow. These wild trees will spread naturally over time. Like a little seedling just appeared there. Yeah, keep building, keep building. And these last three on low priority. Yeah, if we can get these two done, I'm quietly confident that we won't see contamination into the main waterway, that the water will preferentially flow down over these cliffs. Okay, we can speed up the route you're taking by making a path like that. Look, some weirdness with the water height there, causing the irrigation to fade back and forth. And we'll just see kind of what sort of cropland we end up with, because like this could be good, potentially farmable terrain. This area ends up irrigated. We might be able to do like a plantation of some sort. Maybe that's where I could get my pine trees in. Like this will just end up as mangroves across here. In all likelihood, yeah. Okay, we're gonna make it. Bad tide is coming very soon, but we've got only one spot left. Very well done to the builders over here in District 3. This was quite close, but we've bad tide proofed just before the bad tide arrives, and I do not have this changeover automated yet. That'll be the next thing to do properly, so let's get this done manually the moment it swaps over. Bad tide starts. Height 100, height 0. And we'll just wait a second here until we see the bad tide coming, just get us a little bit more water out of it. Look at that. Bad water sneaking forwards. Yeah, that's probably close enough. Switch you over. Here we go. Waterways nice and secured. And only a 1-day bad tide. That is nothing. We've been hardly getting any bad tides. Yeah, this is only the second one in 2 1-days. Yeah, but you are nice and secure, nice and safe. And now, because changing over bad tide stuff is so annoying, what can we do automation-wise? So our options here are the contamination sensor, which detects how much contaminated bad water is in the water directly below its arm, or the weather station, which can just send a signal based on the current status of the weather. Like, this one is so close to its water source that just weather detecting will probably be fine. This one, weather detecting might not be fine because of the bit of delay in getting the water source from right down the back there to here. Because detecting the bad tide and swapping over early doesn't do too much damage. That's fine. We lose a little bit of fresh water, but I can live with that. The downside, though, is if once it stops being bad tide, bad water doesn't vanish. It still sits there, so it takes a second to drain. And, like, the bit of bad water in here, like, it's not insignificant. Compared to the total volume of water, it's not low, but, like, any crops up here, for example, might end up getting contaminated. We might see stuff like swimming pools get shut down once we get those. So I think contamination sensors are probably the way to go here. I mean, weather stations need treated planks anyway, so that actually eliminates that. Oh well, at least we can pick the one I wanted. Yep, contamination sensor. Let's get some of these things set up. Where do I want to position you? And let's remove that path. Get a contamination sensor up here. I'll get your own contamination sensor. Whereabouts do I want you set up? Over here, maybe? Maybe closer to the exit. Sure, we'll stick a contamination sensor in here and we'll see how this goes. Yeah, so if you detect more than 5% contaminated water, so pretty low, you will send an on signal. And I reckon just the default here too should be fine. So take some gears and some metal blocks. These places cannot get metal blocks at this point. We need to get metal block storage. I want a large industrial pile of metal blocks up here. I mean, maybe our metal block storage is full down there. So sure, we can get a second one up here. Just import this stuff. Where do we stick it? Let's just stick it at the back there. Metal blocks. And you can just do with a small industrial pile. Where do we want to stick this? Who knows? In here. And I need to give the builders more work to do here now they finish this whole endeavor. Means probably getting the dam set up there could be your next task. So, yep, just along here. Couple of stairs, get a path leading out to that staircase. Just like that. And let's get, sure, just a series of levees built across here. There you go. Oh, our gravity batteries are working away, by the way. I had not pointed these out. And I see they're currently draining away. Because the things aren't flowing during the bad tide, so the big crate's slowly getting lowered further and further down. There's a lot of power stored in the two of these, so they're draining quite slowly, even with supporting the number cruncher through the night. And the moment this bad tide ends and we swap back our water supplies, we should see these start rising as we go back to surplus energy. Now, end of the day, we should see bad tide end. Any second. Yeah, back to clean water. This one will just let it flush out that little bit there. Cool. Now, I cannot remember what you were set on. Let's do 0.7. Yeah, slight overflows, it swaps over there. Yeah, you see that tiny bit of bad water tint, but not that severe. Now, you will take a second to drain as all this water's pumped out, and yeah, you can really see that delay I was talking about between the weather swapping over and the actual bad water being dismissed. Maybe I want to stick you closer. Yeah, I might stick that contamination sensor a bit closer to the actual gate. Right on top of it? Sure, right on top of it. Now, you'll also need gears, which actually I don't think you're going to be able to import. So for now, let's just swap you over. Bit of flooding. That's fine. We want that to flood anyway. Now, you guys have... Yeah, we just have a giant pile of logs now left over, even though you still do have a few trees left in your area. Contamination sensors, kin check. No, they detect kind of what's directly below the arm. Like this area, put it here, and it will... The little arm poking out here, it should detect what's in this water tile. Kind of one out and one below it. Yeah, so you are currently detecting this one, so we need to set these things on automated now. Automate to contamination sensor 1. Yep, when off, like that. Automate to contamination sensor on. Yes, like that. Like, we can test that, like, it checks the tile in front of it. By, for example, like if we swap this over to less than, it is successfully detecting water. So. And yeah, you do need gear storage. Simple enough. Medium warehouse will want plenty of gears at some point in the future. Oh, where do I want to stick you? Sure, just there for now. You have chip teeth. You have chip teeth. We need to handle that too. Tooth grindstone. You know what? These lumberjack flags are getting a little bit far away from where we want them working, so we can place that with the tooth grindstone. Move this lumberjack flag down to here so you can start work on these oak trees. The builders are slowly getting this levee in position. Yeah, you've done that slight flooding thing you always do at season change. Let's prioritize getting that tooth grindstone set up. That's very simple, and I don't like seeing my beavers walk around with chipped teeth. Now let's rename these so I remember. So, you, rather than contamination sensor 1, can be topside, named after your district. Yeah, that actually makes you... Now, let's see. Yeah, too long, so... No, you can just be topside contamination. Now, what do we name you? And... Lake source contamination? Just lake contamination? Yeah. Lake contamination. Okay. And though I won't ever get confused about which one I built first and which second. Let this just keep walking away. Yep, you can see these things have fully reset up during the night. These gravity batteries should do some lovely work for us. And we have a bunch of homeless beavers. Whereabouts? Yeah, all the ones over here. You'll need more tasks, like more houses set up for them. Yeah, building this place up will just be a bit of a longer term endeavor where we get the last of this reservoir's retaining walls set up. So I'll occupy our builders. Yeah, while these builders are free, it's time to keep building this place up. See if we can get the gear building in position. Gear workshop. So we decided like this place seems like a pretty good location. We can connect it right up to there. I'm going to leave a little bit of space down here if I want to extend this path out to get more buildings around on this side behind it. So we will need to build up the ground below you slightly. Means getting rid of these paths. In return for the ubiquitous vertical power shafts. Get a full set of these set up. And then on top of those power shafts, I think we're probably fine to just stick some platforms for the moment. Yeah, there and there. If we want to run another power shaft up around the edge, so we still have an access point there. Gear workshop. Stick you in there. Almost done. Last two to go. Yeah, you're just living the last planks. Planks, logs, whatever. Beavers thirsty despite swimming through a lake. Just open your mouth, lads. Now we probably also want to get some water storage set up here, finally. Once I've got this in position. Skip straight to a large water thing. Yeah, might as well. We are getting the gears in soon anyway. Whereabouts I want to position you? Okay, just there seems fine. Set you to store water. Yeah, and they'll get this levy done and then build up the medium warehouse, which you can see they've already started work on, and they'll get gears start being exported to here, and they'll let both of these be completed. And you can see this structure's being built up successfully. Gear building ready to go. Oh, you are not currently powered. I thought you did have a connection. Or I wanted to set you up. Well, you should be easy enough to power. And yeah, we can just connect you up with a vertical power shaft. Yep, just here. Yeah, that's a fine location to do it in. And even if that's not a fine location, we have another spot here, like a couple vertical power shaft built up here would also work just as well. There we go. Now you're operating. Yeah, this is such a fun structure we've built here. Want to get something else in here. I could put like double platforms there, get this all built up with a 3x3 structure here maybe, and that would work fine. Yes, cool. That is all done. These things are under construction. Just getting those gears in. Yep, up that goes. Cool. We'll leave you also on the 5% threshold. Yep. Lake contamination. Yep. If it is not contaminated at 0.7 meters. Well, let's raise that. I really don't need to, but 0.75 meters. And you are automated. Also lake contamination when it is on, lower yourself to 0. Okay, and this is now automated bad tide proof. Yeah, cut down on logging there to refocus cutting down these oak trees, please. Yeah, once this location floods, it'll become much more difficult to kind of get wood cutting down here. So while this is somewhat dry, we'll get our beavers prioritizing construction here. Yep, now we have some spare workforce. Let's just focus on getting them to do seemingly productive things. I'd like to be able to build up here potentially in the future. Get some row houses in somewhere. Barracks in somewhere. Row houses, again, just more efficient. I mean, unless we count vertical space, like a barracks built here could have another barracks immediately on top of it, which is fun. You know what? Yeah, let's take the advantage of this little bit of terrain in order to do that. Double height barracks. And I'll use up a bunch of the logs too, we're at it, which will help keep our timber cutting operations operational. Let's see, other things we'll probably want to do here. Wood workshop, we're not quite ready for actually doing this because we don't have resin income yet, but I can get infrastructure set up for it. Which involve building up this location. Now we can get rid of the last of these paths as we build this up. Vertical power shafts all across the base there. Now, I don't think we'll really be able to do anything down here. Probably not. Yeah, like 2x2 buildings with flat roofs. Not something I think we have much in the way of. Myself, like grease factories, no. All of our bot stuff is too large. Oil presses don't have a flat roof. Yeah, so that's probably just getting filled with platforms. So I can order that. Now I could potentially fit... Well, I might be able to fit another warehouse down here, actually. So let's just cancel that for the moment. I want to go storage, medium warehouse. could I squeeze one in there? Large industrial pile makes it a tad complex. Yeah, because I won't be able to get stairs leading down to there. Rotate you. Could I do something? Not readily. If I shift one across, I could squeeze in a warehouse. Like, yeah, stick you there. Sure, I like that. No idea what we'll put in here yet, but not going to say no to more storage space, where I'll just rather have, instead of platforms. That also then connects up to this warehouse down here. Another route they can potentially path. That turns out to be faster. And then double height platform can fit over these stairs to give this a nice flat surface. Like so. And so. Yep, and we'll just leave them to get that construction done. You see our barracks all set up, meaning these people now actually have shelter, which will make them all much happier and more productive. And yeah, before we close this off, I just would like to get these oak trees shut so we can just keep you guys working on other stuff for the moment. What other infrastructure do I need here? Second deep water pump might not go astray. I reckon just that's kind of what I left this little spot here for. We can squeeze you in there. And then get some crops in the ground too. So now that we have all of our various metalworking and stuff in position, what new crop options do we have? We could start doing food factories. Yeah, corn and logs. These take some power. These make corn rations. I get canola oil press, which just takes metal parts. We can start making canola oil, which will get us access to eggplants, algae rations, another hydroponic garden thing, the fermenter, fermented soybeans, which is just soybeans, harvested crop, and canola oil. And I can probably get some power generation going soon. Large water wheel will want... Large water wheel reckons it will operate in that position, which is interesting. Yeah, we won't get too much power out of this place, I don't think. I mean, that's partially just because I've artificially made this floodgate very wide. If I desynchronize, deautomate, and just increase you like that, we should see an increase in water flow here a little bit. So let's just do that. And then, yeah, let's see if we can get squeeze a large water wheel in here. Yeah, and your bottom will be just in the water. So we'll get some power out of here, and then we can kind of make decisions on food manufacturing based on what we have to work with there. Yeah, you're flooding slightly from the change in flow upriver. Come on, you're not flooded. Just the path next to you is. And I can't wait till this is flooded so I can get to work on all those mangrove plantations. Mangroves aren't even a bad wood growing plant. They're not exactly oaks. Oaks are an outlier by a massive margin, but they're better than pines. Big thing though is this mangrove fruit. A large field of mangroves all producing mangrove fruit will make everyone very happy. Let me click on that water wheel. There we go. Logs and planks getting dropped off here. Did I ask for stairs to be built there? That must have been an accident I made at some point without noticing. Honestly, for something that barely touches the water, that ain't bad. I guess the water depth doesn't really matter as much as I thought it did. It still counts as being in the correct tile, I suppose. It's a bit more discreet. Okay, so with that in mind, yeah, you're generating about 300. So an oil press is 50, fermenter is 50, food factory is 120. We could actually get a few different food sources all being processed over here. I don't think we'll do anything in the way of, like, generating industrial stuff from our power here. We'll just use it for food. Because, yeah, like, this is all going to be open irrigated land. I'd probably prefer to try and keep maybe some storage further up the back. We can, like, grow crops here, grow crops here. So, get some canola growing, probably. Going to be the first thing. So, hang on, how long do different plants take? Canola is... Okay, 9 days for 3. Just thinking, yeah, it's like, all of these are pretty long. Longer growing stuff we want further away. In all likelihood. Like, if I'm growing eggplants, canola, and some soybeans and stuff, let's just get a farmhouse in. Yeah, build you there. Get some crops in the ground. We'll probably want 2 farmhouses along here. We have the spare beavers. Let's get 2 farmhouses going. Right next to each other. Maybe another farmhouse on this side too. There's some soybeans, canola. Let's get a big field of canola starting to grow. Over here. Yeah, and we'll need to get some more beavers over here. I'll just wait till this is finished construction. Okay, migrate population. You want at least 17 if you can. You want at least 28. You're up to 32 beavers. You want minimum 32. That includes the inventors. Yep, we still have some spare unemployed beavers. Probably wanted the soybeans on that side, canola on the other side. Hardly makes a difference though. Yeah, we'll be going for the fermented soybeans here as our first major new food supply. Get a field of soybeans in. And out a bit further. Oh, and you are no longer producing power. Oh yeah, you've dropped below the level you can sustain. That's alright, it'll take a few days before the first crops come in, so... Yeah, I reckon... Oh, we do just want you cutting wood faster. You know what, let's just... Unmark... Yeah. Unmark all of this. Just cut this section, please. Those ones. I eventually want to cut those, but if I can just get these guys to focus up, just cut down these oak trees and get the levees. If I really want to cut down these drowned oak trees, I can just build these up on little platforms out in the lake. Let's get this underway. Yep, so you're watered there. In bad tides and bad water spills along here, we might see a bit of a problem. You can do some stuff to negate this using, yeah, these irrigation barriers. So, treated plank stuff, but stops both irrigation and contamination from spreading below it. Oh, second bad tide, of course. Well, we'll get to see if I set up this automation stuff correctly. Like, just a row of these on the ground here could potentially, like, stop any contamination from getting into these crops. So I reckon, like, yeah, big canola field. Let's just build it right out to the edge here. Soybeans too. Yeah, this is going to be a large canola area because the oil presses don't take much power, so the limited supply here. Alright, you're not consistently watered. Yeah, and see, like, the water wheel switched on, so the water level's rising and dropping slightly. Once the water level goes up, this should all be consistently irrigated. So, yeah, let's get this done. I want to destroy these current floodgates. To replace them with double floodgates. And actually, we probably want to get this also built up quite promptly. Like, the double floodgates can be lowered down while this is under the final stages. Get you assigned. Need to get the path a bit closer. Yep, that'll make them reach. Let's get the builders scattering around doing stuff. Keep an eye on this bad tide timer, so I can kind of go, the moment bad tide switches, I'm going to go stare at this contamination sensor, make certain it's operating correctly. Yeah, I see some of this is dying from drying out. Well, yep, you finished cutting this stuff. We'll get those last levies in position. Why can you not build a levee there? Guys? Wait, that is a gap in the train. Is it just because you haven't cleared out all the wood yet? That might be it. Hopefully they'll clear it out soon. Yeah, we can see these starting to get into position. Resources being brought down. Now, I don't see the logs lying on the ground anymore, meaning has that been cleared? It has. We can get that final levy in. Now, 0.6 days until the bad tide comes in. You stop turning again. We have 3 storage spots all here, 1 small, 2 medium. So no real idea of what we're going to stick in them. Confident we'll find something though as time wears on. I'm wondering if I look at fluid stuff. Yeah, canola oil is a liquid. It's stored in these tanks, so I'll need to be prepared for that once these start producing. At least some work has been done on these levies. Here we go. Bad tide started. Yep. We can see, boom. Senses the contamination. Kicks it over. Bit of a backup and spillover. But not that much. Should be fine. Now we go over here. Yep, contamination sensor. A little bit of contamination gets through. We might want to drop that threshold like right down. Let's go 2%. Yeah, and this stuff is all drying out. Wow, soybeans die from drying out almost instantly. I mean, it's all very short, but like these are all already dead. Which means maybe this close to the bad water is not the place to do that? Yeah, and you can see the contamination reaching in to kill it. So these will be producing erratically for the moment. This is not the most stable farming location, not as much as I would like it to be. And it's also not helping that this reservoir is kind of being drained because we took out the floodgates on this side. Yeah, you can see death from contamination on a bunch of these oak trees. Yeah, drought resistance was not really a bit of a problem I'd kind of anticipated here. Once this reservoir is a bit more secure, hopefully we won't have to think about that again. It is just something to keep an eye on. We're going to get infrequent harvests out of that every now and then. That's also not too bad. And we can just set up more permanent farmland somewhere else. Yeah, so I think we've kind of reached the approximate, like, carry capacity for our breeding pods. We haven't seen too much of a spike in increases beyond this point, so if we still have some wriggle room, but it won't be too long before we need to start worrying about building more breeding pods somewhere. Now, if I build contamination barriers here and I don't want contamination to flood in from this way, I probably just want to help extend the levee out a bit further so we don't get this bit of spillover that drains directly into this area down here. Because you can see from here it reaches up to this level, but not up to the next one. Whereas it's quite clearly reaching from here up to here, for example. Yeah, and we will see contamination along kind of this section, so this area could be farmed, but not this part, not reliably. I mean, that's where our power is. That's probably where we're going to have, like, oil presses and the like anyway. Yeah. Double floodgates coming in. This levee is secure. Levee over there is secure. Frantically hoping there is an error I've forgotten. Okay, so do we see any gaps in the terrain at this height which are not covered? No, we do not. This should be good and stable. Yep, so we can see this is still sensing there's enough contaminated water here that's not willing to let it through. Meanwhile, that's flushing out the contaminated water here. This one is switched over to minor flooding. And this little corner is going to be one of the last places to clear. I just increase that to 3. Okay. You are off. Yep, you two open. Water is draining. And a bit of fresh water in there. You can kind of see the slightly bluer tint in that little corner now. Flooding. Last floodgate to go. All of our beavers are currently homed. That is good. Oh, and look how much science we've racked up just kind of off the back of this number cruncher. We will never have to worry about science again. That is going to carry us for the rest of the game. We can just unlock stuff as we need it without any sort of concern. Now, something I have not looked at. So the other faction, the Folktales, they have a system of zip lines you can build to help move people around quickly. So if I want to set up the mine here, for example, I'd have like a zip line station, zip line, exit station here, and beavers could just go zip, zip, zip back and forth. We don't have that as the Ironteeth. We have these tubeways. Tubeway network and network entrance and exit. So beavers enter in here. Yeah, then they travel through tubes. Fast, if cramped, means a beaver transportation, 300% extra movement speed. And we can also move them vertically. So these are like solid blocks. Yeah, so unlike the zip lines, you could not use these to like skip over these chasms, not innately. You'd need to build overhangs to support these if we wanted to go across here. We can, however, go straight up and down if we decide, which could be useful in other locations. Like if I wanted to get up here, do some building, I could just have a vertical tubeway. We do have all the resources to build these. I don't have an immediate use in mind, but we shall see. Now, how's that gate coming along? Come on, transport the last of these resources, lads. 9 more logs. And a bit of work. It's a shame they're not clever enough to just immediately use the rubble from the destroyed floodgates. They'll try and transport like the building materials in from the storage, and then afterwards they'll be, oh, here's some stuff together. And then they'll go transport that back all the way to the storage. They won't just use it on site, even though it's most proximal. Yeah, looks like we're going to have one more night before this is done. And you can see these batteries drained really far down, but now during the night they're recharging. Like during the bad tide, when all of our power shut off, these batteries kept us producing for a little bit. Yeah, if I were to install a clutch here, just so when there's no power in the system, the number cruncher automatically disengages, that could be potentially useful for just making certain the rest of the industry stays online. Something to think about. Look at that. Floodgate in position. Range up to 0.7, and now, very slowly, honestly, remarkably fast given the size of this reservoir, that's going to start to fill. Water flowing down, piling up here, finding it is no place to go, and then slightly deeper over time. Is it creeping up the wall? I reckon we can. Yeah, look at that go. Soon it'll start flooding over these low-lying areas. Disable these 2 lumberjack flags. We'll need to redo these on a higher elevation. This will be a real big lake. And like, remember how low this water was before? Like, there's bushes and stuff down here. They're all on the surface. These stairs at least used to lead down to ground level. Here we go. Yeah, flooding the edges. Building up, and eventually spill further in. It's really letting the water level build up a little bit here. There we go. Boom. Yeah, let's just destroy these lumberjack flags. Now, the way to keep these lumberjack flags working is just like that. And then we just Stick a couple lumberjack flags like that, and so they're up above the water level. We'll keep functioning. Yeah, this lake fills up. And so now we have all this space to turn into mangroves. So, mangroves will be planted by a forester. If I do want like a bunch of this to be treated as mangrove forest, I probably want to stick the forest down in the water like I did with those lumberjacks. So, sure, there looks like a good spot just on this corner. Yeah. Series of platforms. Door space there. Forester. Stick you down. And this will look quite fun poking out the surface of the lake when it's finished. And start planting mangroves. And we'll just fill all of these. If I want to access the water for something like probably with a swimming pool, we'll have to tear some of these down, but we can tackle that when it comes to it. We'll have some drowned pine trees just poking out of here for a little bit. Here we go, mangrove trees. And these will give us a source of wood, probably the ones down near the lumberjack flags we'll use for that. And the ones we plant over here, once they're fully grown, every 10 days they'll grow 4 mangrove fruits. Which should be worth, if I inspect one of my beavers. Yeah, there'll be another food source that gives a single point of well-being. Absolutely delightful. And you're just about ready to start overflowing. This is kind of the height of our new lake that we successfully engineered today. Yeah, and I do like how you look. You look cool. Yeah, and our lumberjacks currently don't have much to do because our log storage is completely full. And so probably only really need one of you. Sure, let's just free up the other one. I didn't really need to replace both. Ah yes, and this thing is now producing reliably. Yeah, the water wheel keeps turning. Now all of this is irrigated. So we can get some more farmland down here should we want it. And we can start getting oil presses and food factory maybe in future. We still haven't got any of the food factory stuff, but I was thinking maybe eggplants over here. And then we can start getting some more diversity in our food supplies. For now though, let's start getting some storage for our different things. So how do I want to store some of this stuff? We know this is going to be contaminated, so we're probably not going to be planting crops here. If I do storage buildings on the base level, then we can have our processing buildings on the level above them. Something like that, and that. Yeah. Storage here, storage here. So you can be the soybean storage. And you know what? No, you can be... Okay, so canola seeds are what we get off the canola plants. Yeah. Then you can be soybeans canola because we'll have our manufacturing closer to the actual water wheel for the oil presses. Soybeans, and then over here, close to where we're going to be having our people, we can have the actual food storage. An awkward one-tile gap there, but we could use that maybe for some stairs to help get on top of these things. Now, let us store fermented soybeans. Let us store mangrove fruits, which we'll be pulling in. Let's see. So, manufacturing food-wise, we'll want oil presses. We'll want a fermenter. Now, I'm not too certain how power-hungry demanding this oil press thing will be. Could I place... I cannot place a one high... Oh, I can't place any platforms above the anchor point for the bridge. That's a bit disappointing. Otherwise, I could squeeze a fermenter just there. As it is, best spot to squeeze a fermenter... Maybe here? And if I want to raise the level of this reservoir, that would make that a bit awkward. Yeah, so we might just stick an oil presses around 2x2. If I stick you there, in here, there, wherever, we'll leave one space open there just in case. I know, you do need to go one back. Yeah, so oil press, there. Fermenter, here. Now those can both join onto the same location there. Now, yep, you will transmit power to each other, so I just need to connect you for a source of power. Which, actually, with the location of this bridge is slightly awkward. I reckon the way to do this is like that. And then, yeah, we'll have power shaft there. You, and then we'll just need to, like, S-bend this in slightly. We'll get some stairs. Yeah, again, spiral stairs would be best for space efficiency here, but we can one you like this. A 2x2 space I might potentially do something with later. There we go. And now I'll just need some canola oil storage. Maybe that's what I can use as little one spots for. Maybe that's what I can use as 2x2 for. That's actually a pretty good idea. Yeah, this can be canola oil storage. Let's put you like that. Canola oil. And that gives the builders here something to keep them busy with. Now, Forester's doing an excellent job planting these mangroves. And yeah. Thing to do after this, I reckon, is maybe finally get around to a look at getting treated plank stuff in position. So I mean, finding somewhere to make a pine plantation. Maybe down here I could turn this into a little pine plantation. Over here? And I'm not using all of these oak trees, that's for certain. Ah, well, I'm certain I'll think of something. Maybe what I could do is get my next district down here started. Yeah, that's also another medium-term goal to look forwards to. Honestly, just here could make a decent pine plantation as well. Like, I'm not using any of these berries, just tear these out, turn them into pine trees. That might be what we do. But for now, I do think that's probably going to be it for today. We've gotten this district, like, kind of, sort of established. We've got a big old reservoir, which I wanted to construct, constructed. We now have a silly amount of stored fresh water. Like, I built this last episode, last stream, and I was talking about how much water this was. And now we have this lake. It's truly quite remarkable the way you can terraform the landscape in this game. I do truly love it. But like I said, I do think that's probably it for today. So, we made some good progress. Got various stuff done. Got kind of that industrial zone all more or less established. Tiny bit of space left to work on that, but I'm loving how that's looking. We've got the first steps towards getting some more food diversity in, a new district, a new reservoir, some new entertainment options for these little exercise plazas. Yeah, did good work today. So, on that note, thank you very much, various folks who stopped in to watch today. Thank you very much, any potential VOD watchers out there, potentially make it to the end, listening to my little end ramble here. I hope I shall see you all next time. I'll be back with some more Timberborn next Thursday. Same time, same place. You know the deal. But for now, Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye.